The day A$AP Rocky went too far. The effect of Stole Ya Flow. Have you ever had a moment where it seemed like everything changed in an instant? That's the sensation that accompanied A$AP Rocky's release of Stole Ya Flow, which unmistakably targeted Drake with its lyrics. There were no ambiguous hints or subtle jabs, just straightforward challenges that left the hip-hop world in shock. This wasn't merely a minor rap feud, it was like sparking a fire on a smoldering ember that had been overlooked. Welcome to Celebrity Rap Life, where the red carpets never roll up and the spotlight never fades. The rewards are legendary, because in Celebrity Rap Life, every downfall can become a comeback, and every headline tells a deeper story. Hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss a second of what's coming next. Let me paint the picture for you real quick. The streets were already buzzing. Social media was doing what it does best, turning every little rumor into a wildfire of speculation. But when Rocky's track hit the airwaves, it was like someone detonated a bomb in the middle of Times Square. Fans, critics, bloggers, your cousin who only listens to country music, everybody suddenly had an opinion. The audacity of it all was what got people talking. Because let's be real, coming at Drake isn't like stepping to some random rapper trying to make a name. Drake is the guy who's been sitting at the top of the game for over a decade, moving units like he's selling water in the desert, breaking streaming records like it's a morning routine. So when Rocky decided to throw down the gauntlet, people knew this wasn't going to be just another forgotten diss track that fades into the background noise of hip-hop history. The thing about Stole Ya Flow that really got under people's skin was how direct it was. Rocky didn't dance around the subject. He didn't leave room for interpretation or let Drake's fans pretend it was about somebody else. Nah, he made it crystal clear who was in his crosshairs, and the precision of those bars left no doubt about his intentions. It was the kind of move that makes you wonder what happened behind the scenes. What sparked this? Was there some private beef that had been festering in the shadows? Did something go down at an industry party that nobody caught on camera? Or was this just Rocky deciding that today was the day he was going to shake up the entire rap game and make sure his name was on everybody's lips? The streets started doing what they always do when drama pops off. People began dissecting every single line, rewinding the track over and over, breaking down the metaphors, the wordplay, the delivery. Hip-hop heads were in their element, treating this like the Super Bowl of rap analysis. Group chats were blowing up. Twitter was an absolute war zone, with Drake fans rushing to their hero's defense and Rocky supporters ready to go to battle over every syllable. It's wild how a 3 or 4 minute song can literally divide the internet into camps, with people ready to throw hands over whose favorite rapper came out on top. But here's where it gets really interesting. This wasn't Rocky's first rodeo in the rap game. The man's been around, paid his dues, built his reputation from the ground up in Harlem, and took that energy worldwide. He's not some rookie trying to create buzz by picking a fight with the biggest name he can think of. Rocky's got his own lane, his own style, his own legacy that he's been crafting for years. So for him to step out and take this shot, it meant something deeper was going on beneath the surface. Maybe he felt disrespected. Maybe he saw something in the game that rubbed him the wrong way. Maybe it was about protecting his artistic integrity or making a statement about originality in an era where everyone's accused of copying everyone else's sound. The title itself, Stole Ya Flow, is loaded with implications that go way beyond just a catchy name for a diss track. It's an accusation that cuts right to the core of what matters in hip-hop. Your flow is your signature. It's your fingerprint on the track. It's what separates the legends from the forgettable, the innovators from the imitators. So when you come out and tell the world that somebody stole your flow, especially when that somebody is arguably the biggest rapper on the planet, you're not just starting beef. You're questioning their authenticity, their creativity, their entire artistic foundation. That's the kind of challenge that demands a response, the kind of disrespect that can't just slide by unaddressed. Drake, for his part, has always been a lightning rod for this type of criticism. Throughout his career, whispers have floated around about ghostwriters, about borrowed flows, about taking the sound of whatever region is hot at the moment and making it his own. Some people see that as smart business, as adaptation and evolution. Others see it as cultural vulture behavior, as someone who doesn't create but instead absorbs and repackages what's already out there. Drake's diss seemed to tap into that ongoing narrative, adding fuel to a conversation that's been happening in barbershops, studios, and comment sections for years. It's the kind of accusation that sticks because there's already a framework for people to process it through. What made the whole situation even more explosive was the timing. Hip-hop was already in a weird place, with debates raging about authenticity versus commercial success, about staying true to the culture versus chasing mainstream appeal. Rocky's track landed right in the middle of all that tension, like a match dropped into a room full of fireworks. Suddenly, this wasn't just about two individual artists going at each other. It became a proxy war for bigger questions about the state of the game, about who gets to define what's real, about whether success and credibility can coexist in today's music industry. The production on Stole Ya Flow added another layer to the whole experience. It wasn't some thrown-together beat that sounded like it was made in somebody's bedroom on a laptop with a cracked screen. The music itself became part of the diss, creating an atmosphere that made listeners feel the weight of what was being said. People started comparing this to the classic beef moments in hip-hop history. They pulled up old interviews, old tracks, looking for breadcrumbs that might have predicted this collision. Did Rocky throw a subliminal shot 2 years ago that everyone missed? Did Drake say something slick in a verse that flew under the radar? The internet turned into a detective agency, with amateur investigators convinced they could trace the origins of this conflict back to some specific moment, some specific slight that set everything in motion. Whether they found anything concrete or just connected dots that didn't actually form a picture, the search itself became part of the story, another way for fans to engage with the drama and feel like they were part of something bigger.
The cultural impact rippled out way beyond just the two artists involved. Other rappers started getting asked about it in interviews, forced to navigate the tricky waters of commenting on beef that wasn't theirs without accidentally becoming part of it. Some stayed neutral, giving diplomatic answers about respecting both artists. Others picked sides, either subtly or explicitly, knowing that their opinion would be dissected and analyzed and potentially used against them later. The whole ecosystem of hip-hop shifted to accommodate this new reality, this new conflict that everyone had to acknowledge whether they wanted to or not. Radio shows dedicated entire segments to breaking down the diss. Podcasts that usually talked about sports or politics suddenly found themselves discussing rap beef because that's what their audiences wanted to hear about. Music critics who normally stayed above the fray of drama were writing think pieces about artistic ownership and creative theft. The conversation expanded and expanded until it felt like Stole Ya Flow wasn't just a song anymore, but a cultural event, a moment that would be referenced and remembered long after the initial shock wore off. And through it all, the streets kept watching, kept waiting to see what would happen next. Would Drake respond? Would he ignore it and let his success speak for itself? Would other artists jump into the mix, either as allies or opportunists looking to capitalize on the chaos? The suspense was thick enough to cut with a knife, with every day that passed adding more speculation, more theories, more anticipation for whatever might come next in this unfolding saga. What A$AP Rocky did with Stole Ya Flow was more than just release a diss track. He threw down a challenge that forced everyone in hip-hop to pay attention, to take a side, to reckon with questions about originality and respect that have always been central to the culture. Whether you thought he was right or wrong, whether you sided with him or with Drake, you couldn't deny that he'd created a moment that mattered, a flashpoint that would be talked about for years to come. And in a game where being memorable is everything, where creating moments that transcend the music itself is the ultimate goal, Rocky had accomplished exactly what he set out to do. He'd made sure that nobody could ignore him, nobody could dismiss him, and nobody could forget that when he had something to say, he was going to say it loud enough for the whole world to hear. This story is far from over, and the truth is still unfolding. I want to hear what you think. Drop your take in the comments, and if you don't want to miss the next twist, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss a second of what's coming next.